ready to rumble? Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Studio Series core class, Decepticon Rumble Blue. Now please guys, don't destroy me down in the comment section below. I know there's that whole controversy as to whether Rumble is red or blue and vice versa. With Frenzy, the packaging specifically states that this is Rumble, so that's what I'll be calling him throughout this video. And let's very quickly take a look at the box art. So Rumble Blue, I love the fact that they actually had to specify the color. We get a really nifty image there of Rumble with those sick looking pile drivers, and as we come around to the back, some more product shots which actually do look pretty sweet. Now here we have Rumble, and I'm just very quickly going to touch base with his size. When you actually take a look at this guy in the box, he looks tiny, and that's because he's our smallest core class figure to date, and much like we've seen with the likes of the Studio Series Voyager Hot Rod, it is really the accessories which bump him up to that core class price point. So in terms of detail, very nicely sculpted. I mean, this guy does look great. I love the attention to detail that we have for the paint apps. That looks really cool, especially as we come here to the shins. I mean, the shade of color they've used for the plastic as well is top notch, and as we spin around to the back, we get some banging looking blasters. Those look really nice. These can be pegged onto either the back or these tiny little ports that we have here on the forearms. It's up to your own personal preference. To be honest, I think they look a little cooler here, but my biggest issue with this guy is that in terms of robot mode, he doesn't do anything that the previous MicroMaster Rumble was unable to do. I mean, they haven't actually given him elbow joints, and that was one of the biggest issues that I and many collectors had with that previous version, so it is a shame to see them not fix that here. And I know some of you will say, well, it's only a core class, and considering how small that elbow joint would have to be, it would probably be impossible. Well, you really have to just take a look at the core class Ravage, which is loaded with tiny little hinge joints, and I definitely think that is something they could have done with this guy. But articulation wise, he does have a ball joint here at the head, which can rotate the full 360, tilt left to right slightly, and look up and down. We do get two joints out of the shoulders, one for transformation which can hinge up, and then the main ball joint which allows it to go forwards and backwards as well as in and out. Like I said previously, no form of elbow rotation, such a shame, but we do get some pretty cool hip joints which can kick forwards that far, back to that far, out to the sides. Also a ball joint at the knee which can rotate in any way that you would want, and surprisingly a tiny bit of ankle pivot, mainly due to the way this guy transforms. So in all, as far as a Rumble goes, yeah, he looks the part. I just really wish they could have given him some proper elbows. Now accessories, like I mentioned previously, it is really this department that warrants that core class price point. So in addition to these two blasters that we have for the back, we finally do get the pile drivers, something which was missing on that previous Siege version, and as you guys can see, these look fantastic. I mean, I'm not going to fault these at all. Really nice baby blue paint for the top, and the kind of big purple pile driver plastic at the base. Sadly, they're not extendable. I was hoping that maybe you could pull this section out, but it is just one solid piece, but sculpted very nicely, and the same can also be said for this side. As far as the integration goes, you basically do just take the hand and fold this in, rotate here at the shoulder, so we're left with something like this, and this entire piece is essentially going to slide into this big massive cavity, so it will just click in there really securely. We can do the same here for this side, snap that there into place, and there we have Rumble ready to rumble and smash down some Autobots with these huge pile drivers. And as a complete package, yeah, I can see why this would justify the core price point. He does feel quite hefty, and with these pile drivers, there's no denying he does look pretty sick. I love the way this guy and all has turned out, and one thing that I did think was pretty cool was, despite him being a little bigger when in comparison to that previous Siege version, he can still transform into a cassette, which is the same size as the previous ones, meaning that he is compatible with Soundwave. And another thing you can do, which I thought was pretty cool, is attach those back cannons onto the side of the pile drivers, and if you've got any weapons which are MechTech compatible, you can slap them into the 5mm ports that we have here at the top and have Rumble blasting away at the Autobots. Now turning to a few comparisons, here we have the Studio Series Rumble on the left and the previous version that we saw for Siege on the right, and I mean, undeniably the new version is a marked improvement, not only in terms of scale but especially design. I mean, they've just streamlined the design. He looks near enough spot on to how he did in the show, so they did a great job. But considering he is a little bigger than this version, it is a shame that they are both pretty much identical in the articulation department. I mean, this guy really only has the hinge joint for the feet which flip up for transformation, and that is the only area which massively differs in articulation to this previous version. I mean, they definitely could have given him a waist joint, and like I said previously, they needed to have given him an elbow joint just to really make him destroy this version. But detail wise, I mean, undeniably the new version does win hands down, and of course this comes with all of the accessories, those classic pile drivers and those cannons which can attach onto the back or onto the shoulders. And here we have him alongside the core class wheelie, which was just in the wave previous, and as you guys can see, there is a massive difference in terms of scale. I mean, this guy really is the smallest core class that we've gotten for date, and I can just see this comparison turning quite a lot of collectors off, but I mean, they had to find a way to still make it compatible with Siege, Soundwave and Blaster in terms of the cassette mode, so I do understand why he had to be slightly smaller, but come on guys, they could have given us some elbow joints. I really do think that would have ultimately made this guy the definitive Rumble that we're ever likely to see. And finally, here we have him alongside the Netflix Voyager Soundwave, and they look good together. I'm not gonna lie, they look really good together, and we'll undeniably see this guy repainted into Frenzy, a red Frenzy in the future, so they are gonna expand our Soundwave minion collection, and I actually hope they redo Ravage in particular, as that was one of the kind of micro masters which I think massively suffered as a result of being kind of a multi-pack with Laserbeak. And there was Rumble in his robot mode, and all a nicely designed figure, definitely an upgrade visually when in comparison to the past version, and especially in terms of scale. It is just a shame that this guy suffers from all of those kind of same articulation issues that we had with the considerably smaller and arguably cheaper previous release, but this guy also does massively improve in regards to accessories, which whilst on the topic of those, you'll want to remove all of the accessories for transformation, as sadly, unlike the Bumblebee movie core Ravage, none of the weapons can actually integrate into the cassette mode. But turning to transformation, you'll want to take the head, rotate it around so the front is facing the back, and just tuck it into this cavity. We can then take the hands, fold these into the forearms on both sides, and then hinge up here at this blue transformation joint, just like this. We can then take the feet, snap those there into place, hinge these sections out, and then rotate at the knee joint just like this, as what will happen is these thighs are actually going to tuck in to the hollow cavities. So then angle these pieces up on both sides just like that, and then for some finishing touches, these tiny little grooves are actually going to snap into these tabs on the knee joints. So peg that in there, do the same here for this side, and there we have Rumble fully transformed up into his pretty neat looking cassette. And I think it's awesome that despite him being considerably larger when in comparison to that past version in bot mode, cassette mode wise he's identical in terms of scale, meaning that yes, he is still compatible with Soundwave and Blaster, etc., and the detail is top notch. I really like the metallic bursts that we have here for the front. Kind of upon first glance looks like a sticker, but no, it is painted. I do like these little circular pieces, and in all, definitely the shape of a cassette. It is just a shame that none of these weapons can actually attach or integrate into the conversion, but I can understand why, especially if they were always going to try and get this to still go in Soundwave's cassette deck. Now, taking a look at a few comparisons, we have the Studio Series version on the left and the past Siege version on the right, and as you guys can see, despite there being a difference in terms of scale for bot mode, they are pretty much identical in cassette mode, so really cool from an engineering perspective. Here it is alongside the version that came with Blaster. I believe this is Eject, so again, very similarly scaled, which is really cool. And then in terms of another Soundwave minion, here we have him with the Netflix Laserbeak, just so you guys can see how they stack up with one another. Of course, a lot more engineering and certainly a lot more plastic just in the base figure of Rumble when in comparison to Laserbeak, so I would definitely like to see them maybe approach a Studio Series core Laserbeak for the 86 line. But I know you guys will probably want to see how Rumble actually integrates into Soundwave, and yes, it is the same size as some of those previous cassette bots, but does it still actually allow the cassette deck to drop down once this guy's placed in? Well, let's find out. So let's deploy that cassette deck, take Rumble, slide him into kind of the cassette tray, snap that back into place. So far so good, a perfect fit in terms of actually storing in the chest, but will it deploy? No. Unfortunately, at least here on my Netflix Soundwave, he has never deployed. He just continuously gets stuck. I just think maybe something in there is a little too thick and it's perhaps stopping this button from pushing all of the way. I'm not too sure whether it would work better with the Siege Soundwave. I don't actually have that version to hand. I only have this one at the moment. So that is unfortunate, and considering that it really is this guy's kind of main feature to be bigger in bot mode yet still retain that kind of same size in cassette mode, that is really unfortunate to see that he will not deploy when in the chest of Soundwave. Let's see how he stacks up when actually being placed into Blaster. So deploy that cassette deck, slide him in there. So far so good. Yep, perfect fit. Snap him there into place again. Fits in there very nicely. And surprisingly, it does actually deploy here on Blaster, so it could just be an issue with the Netflix Soundwave. Maybe my spring is a little old and perhaps eroding, but yeah, it does work for Blaster. It is just a shame that it doesn't work, at least on my copy, for the figure that it's intended to be with, that of course Soundwave. And wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Studio Series 86 Core Class Rumble. Overall, it's an okay figure. I mean, it's definitely nothing spectacular. In my opinion, it's not better when in comparison to the Ravage that we saw for the Bumblebee Movie Studio Series line. It's just okay. I mean, the robot mode does look accurate to the animation. I cannot fault it at all in terms of design. It is an improvement when in comparison to the past MicroMaster version, although it is a shame that despite it being a bit bigger, the articulation hasn't been improved. I mean, the lack of elbows really do add insult to injury in my opinion. I mean, I continuously just want to bend those elbows, and when you don't have the pile drivers attached, he does just look a little awkward in my opinion, and not to mention he is a lot smaller when in comparison to those past core classes. Now I guess you could say that the additional accessories do kind of bump him up to that core price point, and I would agree to an extent. I mean, the pile drivers definitely are a lovely inclusion. I mean, that was something that the previous version did sadly lack in, and the pistols too are nice, but the pile drivers not being able to be extended, maybe I'm asking too much, but I would have liked to have seen that. Transformation is simple and easy enough, and it does result in a very nice looking cassette, and it is cool from an engineering perspective how he is bigger in bot mode when in comparison to the past version, yet the same size in the cassette mode. So I thought that was neat, but it is a shame, a massive shame, that at least here on my copy it doesn't actually deploy from Soundwave's cassette deck, at least the Netflix version. But with that being said, I didn't have any issues with the Kingdom Blaster, so it could just be an issue on my release. Let me know down in the comment section below if you guys own this, as I would actually really like to know. And I mean, it's okay if you don't own the previous version and you're looking for a cool Rumble, then yeah, this guy's nice. But if you own the previous version and you're not too fussed about the pile driver accessories, then I think this one could go an easy miss. I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you guys think of Rumble, or should I say Frenzy? I'm joking, I'm not causing any controversy, it's Rumble. And of course, as always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.